Hello and welcome back to another installation and functionality review video. Today I have the pleasure of reviewing the fog light upgrade with Sequentials by Evannex. These fog lights are an increase in lumens so you can see further, and they're very easy to install. So first thing I recommend is taking off your wheels. If you can't, or if you're lazy like me, then go ahead and just continue to take these pins off until you have enough space to access the fog lights. Once these pins are removed, you'll be able to easily access the fog lights properly. Once you have access to the fog lights, go ahead and pull out the harness that's connected with the red clip that is on the fog lights. Once that harness is taken out of the fog light, go ahead and use the same tool that you used to take the pins out to take out this white pin for this harness. You'll also be removing this pin in the exact same fashion that you did with the previous one. To torque and untorque the screws that we're going to be taking out, we're going to be using a T25. So jumping into the first screw here, it's located right under the fog light. Go ahead and untorque that properly. Moving on to the second screw located on the fog lights, it is a little bit higher, so go ahead and find the screw and untorque it properly. So this last screw is located pretty far past the fog light. Right now you're seeing an upside down view of the inside of this area, and you will start to notice that there is a little screw up there. I will circle it. You're going to be untorquing that one. This one is located all the way at the end of the fog light. Once those three screws are installed, you're going to want to push down and pull out from the inside and the outside. Once that pops out of place, you should be able to take this out properly. Once again, another angle as to why you should be taking off your tire for this installation. Here is what it looks like to have the OEM fog light unassembled. We will now be taking out the other pins on the other side of the footwell, just enough so we can get access to one of the harnesses near the camera repeater. Here is a view of which harness we're going to be pulling out and where it is located. We're going to be pulling out just the white harness. The other harness is responsible for the camera. You can pull this out, but it can take a couple drives for that camera to turn back on if you do choose to pull that out for more room. We will also be undoing this pin so we can get this harness further out of the wheel well so we can make the changes we're going to be making. The first thing you're going to want to do is take this piece off of the white harness so we can do some wire splicing. For these fog lights, we're going to go ahead and begin to tap into this white wire right here. I recommend using an official pair of wire cutters here just to make sure that your cut is very precise, but we're going to go ahead and just cut this in half. You'll then need to use a wire stripper so that we can get some of this wire exposed to do the operation we are about to do. So we'll be using this yellow cable that is connected to the new fog lights, and we will begin to shove and twist these exposed wires inside, and we're going to crimp it properly. We will now take both ends of the exposed wiring and tie them as tightly as we possibly can before we crimp this. I do recommend using an actual crimping tool here, but what we used here worked perfectly fine. Once you have established that crimped connection, you're going to go ahead and use a ton of electrical tape to ensure that this does not get damaged from any weathering. Once you have prepped this with electrical tape, it should look a little bit like this. Once the tape is good enough to your standard, you can go ahead and put this phone cord looking piece back onto the white harness. You will then be reinserting the white harness back into its original spot which is located right next to the camera repeater. We will then begin to cable manage the yellow wire, and if you're having any issues with the cable management, feel free to zip tie it to something up above the wheel well. And if you haven't done it already, you can go ahead and begin to place that new fog light into position, and it should pop in accordingly. If you do not hear a significant popping sound when it does pop into place, double check to make sure that you've installed it properly. You can now take the harness that came with the fog light and plug it into the empty harness spot that we uninstalled the OEM one with. We will now be installing both of the pins that we took out that held the harness into place. We will now be reinstalling the 3 screws that we took out originally to take off the OEM fog light. And with the installation of those 3 screws, you should be good to go, and make sure to check that your sequentials and all of your bulbs work a little bit like this. I want to say thank you to Evannex for giving me this incredible opportunity to review this new fog light product. I find it a significant upgrade to the aesthetic and the viewing distance at night, and I'm pretty excited to not have the orange reflector anymore that was in the old fog lights, as it was a little weird editing out in pictures. If you guys are interested in purchasing this product, there will be a link in the description as well as a discount code, and if you can't find it there, it'll certainly be in my bio. But without further ado, thank you so much. Good night.